I thought my parents were saving me. But that wedding destroyed everything I believed. I didn't know the man waiting for me at the altar, and I had no idea what kind of life was hiding behind his quiet eyes. That day my childhood ended, and my nightmare began. My name is Elena Harper. Before all of this happened, my life was simple, peaceful. I lived in a small countryside town where everyone knew everyone. The streets were narrow, the houses were close together, children played outside until sunset, and life moved slowly, like a calm river. My father was a farmer. Every morning he woke up before the sun. He worked in the fields with tired hands and a silent heart. My mother took care of our home. She cooked warm meals, cleaned, and always made sure we felt safe. We weren't rich, but we were together. And that felt like enough. I had 2 younger brothers. They were loud, messy, always running around, but they were my joy. And I had one dream, a small dream, but it meant everything to me. I wanted to become a teacher. I loved books more than anything. Books were my escape. They took me to cities I had never seen, to lives I could only imagine. I wanted to teach children in my village. I wanted to give them hope. My parents knew my dream. They often said, "Elena, you are smart. You can build a better future." They worked hard so I could attend school, and I believed my life was going somewhere. Until one evening, everything changed. That night my mother called me into the living room. Her face looked pale. My father sat quietly beside her. The room felt colder than usual. "Elena," my mother whispered, holding my hand tightly, "we need to talk." My heart started beating fast. I could feel something was wrong. My father didn't look at me. His eyes were fixed on the floor. Then my mother said the words that shattered my world. "A man has asked to marry you." I froze. Marry me? I was only 18. I still had dreams. I still had plans. I shook my head quickly. "No, I don't want to get married," my voice trembled. My father finally looked up. His eyes were full of sadness. "We don't have a choice," he said quietly. I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" He took a deep breath. "The crops failed this year. We have debts. We can't survive like this." My chest tightened. Then my mother added softly, "This man is wealthy. He can help us. He can help your brothers." Tears filled my eyes instantly. "So, you're selling me?" My mother gasped. "No, Elena, no." But I could barely breathe. "I don't even know him," I whispered. My father's voice broke. "His name is Nathan Caldwell. He lives in the city. He owns businesses. He is respected." My mother nodded quickly. "He is a good man. A calm man. He will give you a comfortable life." Comfortable. That word sounded empty. What was comfort? A big house? Expensive clothes? I didn't want those things. I wanted my books, my village, my dream, my life. But then I looked at my brothers. They were sitting quietly in the corner, confused. They didn't understand what was happening, and I saw fear in my parents' faces. They weren't cruel. They were desperate. They were drowning. And I was the rope they were holding on to. My throat burned. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Okay, the wedding happened too fast. like a storm that arrives before you can run. My mother sewed my dress by hand. It was white, beautiful, but I felt like a doll being dressed up for someone else's decision. On the wedding morning, my friends smiled. They hugged me. They said, "You're so lucky. You're marrying a rich man." But luck wasn't what I felt. I felt trapped. The church filled with people. Candles flickered. Flowers decorated the aisle. And I stood at the front, waiting. My hands shook, my heart pounded like a drum. Then the doors opened, the room went quiet. A man walked in, tall, broad shoulders, dark suit, serious face. His eyes were cold, unreadable. He didn't smile, he didn't look nervous. He walked forward slowly, like this was just another business deal. This was Nathan Caldwell, my husband. He stood beside me and didn't even glance at my face. The ceremony was short. The priest spoke. I barely heard anything. My mind was screaming. Then came the moment. "Do you take this man?" My lips trembled. "I do." My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Nathan's voice was deep and steady. "I do." He placed a ring on my finger, cold metal, a permanent chain. And just like that, I was no longer Elena Harper. I was Mrs. Caldwell. After the wedding, there was a small dinner. I sat beside Nathan at a long table. People laughed. Music played softly. But between us, there was silence. My family tried to speak to him. Nathan answered politely, short replies, no warmth. Then it was time to leave. I hugged my mother. She cried into my shoulder, "Be strong, my daughter." My father held me tightly. "He will take care of you." My brothers clung to my dress. "Don't go." My heart shattered. But I stepped into the black car. Nathan sat on the other side. The door closed, the engine started, and my village disappeared behind me. The drive was long, hours of silence. The city lights finally appeared, tall buildings, endless traffic, a world I didn't recognize. We stopped in front of a mansion, huge gates, stone walls, a place that looked like a palace. A woman in black opened the door. "Welcome, Mr. Caldwell. Welcome, Mrs. Caldwell." Her voice was flat. Nathan entered without waiting. I followed, feeling smaller with every step. Inside was marble. Cold floors, high ceilings, no warmth, no love. The housekeeper led me upstairs. "This is your room, ma'am." My room, not our room, just mine. The bedroom was enormous, bigger than my entire house back home. I sat on the edge of the bed, and finally, I broke. Tears fell freely. I cried for my mother, for my dream, for the girl I used to be. Then, a knock. My whole body froze. The door opened. Nathan stood there, his face unreadable. This was my first night as his wife. My heart raced. I couldn't breathe. But he didn't come closer. He only said quietly, "You're tired. Rest." Then he turned and left. The door closed softly, and I was alone again. That night, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't in a marriage. I was in a golden cage. That night, I could not sleep. The bed was soft, the room was big, but my heart felt heavy. I stared at the ceiling and listened to the silence. This mansion was beautiful, but it did not feel like home. Nathan was my husband now, but he felt like a stranger. The next morning I woke up early. For a moment I forgot where I was. Then I remembered everything. The wedding, the city, the cold mansion. I got dressed quietly and went downstairs. The house was too quiet. In the kitchen, the housekeeper was there. Her name was Mrs. Bennet. "Good morning, ma'am," she said. "Good morning," I whispered. She placed breakfast on the table, a huge table for many people, but I was alone. "Mr. Caldwell already left for work," she said. "He leaves very early." I nodded. Of course, I ate slowly, but I could not taste the food. I missed my mother's warm cooking. I missed my village. I missed my life. Days passed. Then weeks. Every day felt the same. I woke up alone. I ate alone. I walked through empty hallways alone. Nathan left before sunrise. He returned late at night. Sometimes I heard his footsteps. Sometimes I heard doors closing. But we barely spoke. We lived in the same house, but in different worlds. I began to feel invisible, like I was disappearing. One afternoon I found a library inside the mansion. Rows and rows of books. My heart jumped. Books were my comfort. My friends. I touched the covers slowly. Poems, stories, teaching books. For the first time since the wedding, I felt peace. I sat down and started reading. I almost forgot where I was until the door opened. I froze. Nathan stood there. He was home early. His tie was loose. His face looked tired. Our eyes met. Silence. Then he spoke softly. "You like books?" I nodded. Yes. He walked closer. He looked at the book in my hands. "My mother loved this library," he said quietly. I looked up, surprised. "She passed away years ago," he continued. His voice held sadness. "I'm sorry," I whispered. Nathan did not answer. He pulled out a book and handed it to me. "This one is good," he said. It was a book about teaching. My dream. "Thank you," I whispered. He nodded and left. But something changed inside me. For the first time he saw me. After that day, small things began to change. I started leaving a lamp on at night, so the house would not feel so dark when Nathan returned. I asked Mrs. Bennet what food he liked. I cooked simple meals, village meals, warm meals. Sometimes I left dinner on the table, and in the morning the plate was empty. He never said thank you, but he ate. That meant something. One morning I went outside and saw the garden. It was large, but dying. The flowers were dry. The weeds were everywhere. It looked forgotten. Like me. In my village, my mother loved gardening. So I decided to bring it back to life. Every day I worked under the sun, watering, planting, cleaning. My hands got dirty, but my heart felt stronger. I was creating something beautiful. One evening as the sun was setting, I heard footsteps behind me. Nathan stood at the edge of the garden. He looked around. "The garden looks different," he said. "I wanted to fix it," I replied. He stared at the roses. "My mother planted those," he said softly. "No one touched them after she died." I looked at him carefully. For the first time I saw loneliness in his eyes. "This house has been empty for a long time," he whispered. "Not empty of furniture, empty of life." My heart tightened. Nathan was lonely too. That night he came home earlier. We ate dinner together. At first, silence. Then Nathan asked quietly, "Do you miss your village?" "Yes," I admitted. "I miss my family." He nodded. "I didn't want this marriage to feel like a prison," he said. I looked up, shocked. He continued, "My father arranged it. I didn't know how to talk to you," I whispered. "I didn't know how to breathe here." Nathan's eyes softened. "I'm sorry," he said. 2 simple words, but they meant everything. From that moment we began again, not as strangers, not as a deal, but as 2 people trying to heal. Nathan started coming home earlier. We talked more. I told him about my dream of becoming a teacher. He listened carefully. One day he surprised me with a box. Inside were books, teaching books, children's stories. You can still become a teacher, he said. Tears filled my eyes. I thought my dream was gone. He shook his head. No, Elena, your life isn't over. It's just beginning. Weeks passed. The mansion felt warmer. I filled it with flowers, with books, with soft music. Nathan even smiled sometimes. One stormy night, thunder shook the sky. I screamed. I hated storms. Minutes later, a knock. Nathan entered with a candle. He saw my shaking hands. He sat beside me. It's okay, he whispered. It will pass. He stayed until the storm ended. That night, I wasn't afraid, because I wasn't alone. One evening we sat near the fireplace, a peaceful silence. Nathan looked at me and said softly, "You brought life back into this house," I whispered. "And you brought life back into me too." He reached for my hand. His touch was gentle, not cold, not distant, just warm. "I don't want you to feel trapped," he said. "I want you to feel chosen." Tears slipped down my face. "I thought my life ended on my wedding day." Nathan shook his head. "No, a new life began. Sometimes life starts with fear. Sometimes it starts with tears. But healing is possible. Hope is possible. Love can grow slowly, like a garden after winter. My name is Elena Harper, and my story did not end. It began.